This man's wife was missing for 10 years until he spotted her at his high school reunion. Steve met his wife Stacy in the 6th grade, and they dated throughout high school. But his life was turned upside down when she broke his heart at the end of school. She wanted to attend college as a single person to discover herself and explore relationships with other people. Steve tried to change her mind, but there was no chance. It was over, or so he thought. He went to a college close to their hometown, and Stacy went to a college all the way across the country in California. He didn't hear from her for the next 2 years. He did hear that her mother passed away, but he never really found a good way to reach out. Steve went about his life coasting through college with a couple short-term relationships here and there, but nothing serious. He assumed she did the same. That was until one night he went to a local bar with a few of his friends, and she was there. He was too embarrassed to admit it, but he didn't recognize Stacy at first. It had only been 2 years, and Stacy's hair was now short, and he had already had a few drinks in him by that point. It was only after she made her way across the bar to hug him that he fully comprehended who she was. It struck Steve odd that she was back in town mid-semester, as this seemed like a strange time to fly across the country to visit home. But after chatting and having a few drinks, he didn't think much of it. The two had reconnected that evening. It was as if she had never left. Steve joked about being left behind when she went off to college to alleviate any worries about his feelings, but she completely ignored it. Shortly after, he recounted a story from their 9th grade days when his mother had dropped them off at a movie theater for a date. When telling the story, he could see her confusion. Stacy then explained that she had actually been in an accident during her first year of college and lost a little bit of her memory. She explained that she couldn't recall certain childhood memories, but she could remember faces and people. It sounded terrible to Steve, and he didn't want to prod too much, so he dropped it. After that night, the two hung out again soon after, and then again. They had picked up right where they left off in high school. A few weeks went by and Stacy told Steve that she had decided not to return to school in California. She wanted to stay, which was fantastic. Time and things progressed, and eventually they got married after graduating college. Things were so great. The years kept rolling by, and they had 2 kids. Stacy became a stay-at-home mom and was great with the kids. Although there were their ups and downs, but things were good overall. They were then invited to a 10-year high school reunion. Initially hesitant, they eventually agreed to attend after some persuasion. Then on the night of the reunion, Steve and Stacy got into a ridiculous argument, causing Stacy to stay home while Steve still attended. Steve wasn't quite sure how he was going to explain what had happened at the reunion, but it seemed like it was going to be a pretty tame night. There were around 40 people at the reunion. As Steve was scanning the room, someone tapped him on the shoulder. He turned around and instantly felt a sense of dread in the pit of his stomach. He couldn't quite comprehend what he was seeing. The person looked so familiar. He knew exactly who she was, but his mind was having a hard time processing it. It was Stacy. The Stacy he dated in high school. The Stacy that dumped him after they graduated. She looked exactly as he expected, just grown up. But she didn't look like his Stacy. This wasn't the Stacy he married. This wasn't the Stacy that was back at home. Steve, I can't believe it's been 10 years. How are you? Tell me about your life. You just fell off the map. What happened? Stacy exclaimed. Steve, feeling extremely confused, replied, I'm great. I'm married now with 2 kids. How about yourself? I'm doing well. I fell in love with California during school and decided it's where I was meant to live. This is actually the first time I've been back since my mom passed away 9 years ago. There really hasn't been any reason for me to come back until now, Stacy replied. Steve ended the conversation and immediately left. He sat in the car outside his house for at least 30 minutes. He could see that the lights in the house were off. He didn't know who he was married to or who he had had kids with, but it was not Stacy because the real Stacy was at the reunion. Every instinct told him to flee and take the kids and run, but curiosity and the need to know the truth tethered him in place. Each step felt heavier as he cautiously opened the front door, his heart pounding in his chest. It was eerily quiet. The only sound was a gentle hum of the refrigerator. Slowly, he made his way to the bedroom, and there she was, sitting calmly on the bed. That same face he had grown to love and trust over the years. I love that you came early, Stacy said with a smile. Steve tried to speak, but the words got caught in his throat. She seemed to notice the panic in his eyes. What's wrong? She asked, standing up and walking towards him. He backed away, his voice trembling. Who are you?